It's funny, I can't tell if you're watching me or if I'm watching you. By the way, it's fun, I suppose. I guess we can start the panel whenever we feel like it. So I don't think there is anything special about this panel. It's just my panel. I have no idea what that means. It just had my name on it. So I guess we can do whatever we want here. Keeping in mind there may be younger members of the audience. Everyone fine line between Friday night and Saturday morning. So just keep that in mind, and we'll all be okay. I don't know how this works, really. So I guess you guys can ask whatever questions you want, and I'll talk about them. Yeah. You're next, but this one was first. So, yes.
Okay, so you worked in Rich Fast and Keo.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the series? And so, what was your favorite episode?
My favorite stuff in that show is at the end. It's when he transforms into the big lizard bunny. That's my favorite. That's my favorite stuff. Because it's, you get to the end of the show and you're like, oh, wait a second, they're going to take this one episode and like do some acting. and I think we did it pretty well. I mean, it's definitely a tearjerker moment for the series, but that's my favorite part of the series is the very end of it, because we actually got to do stuff. Instead of, damn it! Yes. I love playing villains. And I think most people would probably tell you this because they want to convince you we're not villains. But anytime you play something that is very far away from your own personality, oh God, it's so gratifying. Because, it's anime, so sometimes I get to kill people. And I can't do it in real life, so, it feels good. It really does. It's in fantasy land, so you can get away with it, so you might as well just go for it. Yes?
Just to follow up on that, I'm really interested to know what you thought of the character Dio in
Catcher in Sins. We oftentimes make fun of that show. I like it, and I think it has a message, and it's a good message, and it's like a lot of other animes. You watch it, and you're like, oh, if people will only stick with this long enough, they'll get it. But it's really hard to stick with it long enough. Eric Vale and I joke about that show all the time because we've been opposites in shows going way back, and I don't know, it's something about the animation of that show. Whenever there is dialogue going on, it's great, but there are so many scenes in that show that are like, Dio, pan across the desert for 2 minutes, and then it goes to Dio and he goes, Casher, and then it pans back across the desert. You're like, I've heard of a dramatic pause, but I think we're taking this too far. But it really is, at the heart of it, it's a really good show, and it does have a message if you can stand around long enough to hear it. I don't know, it's like any other show, you just love doing it. I didn't have to watch the panning across the desert when I was recording it. It was only afterwards when I was like, oh, people are talking about this show, maybe I should watch it. And then I watch it and I go, oh man, that's... All right. How interesting. More questions? I won't. No. Yes. That's one of the shows that I'm sad it ever went away. But that's from an actor perspective. I liked the show. I understand why children and murder, for some reason, don't work in America. But I enjoyed it. It's one of those shows that for an actor, it's a dream come true. I had no flaps to match most of the time. I wasn't even on screen. All I had to do was talk. It's like, you have this long to say this. Got it? I will love getting that check at the end of the week. It's case closed. Why didn't I see it before? We make fun of that too. We make fun of it all the time. Every time Zach sees me, he'll be like, Jimmy Kudo. Just sound like that, because that's the only trick you have. Now I know who the murderer is. It was you! That was the whole name of the game of that show. Who wouldn't miss that? I can turn that on and off in a heartbeat. Murder. Who doesn't miss murder? And we would make fun of those episodes. We go, oh, this one's murder in Murder Town. Murdering murderer. Murderously murders the murdered person. More questions? Yes.
How did you get into voice acting, and what would be your guidance for somebody that has interest in it but has never done it?
Nepotism. Find somebody that's already in there and become friends with them. No, acting. The only thing I can say are, as far as how I got there, are my own experiences. So, start off, in the first place, reading. Reading is fundamental. You have to be able to read as a voice actor. You have to be able to go into the booth. And I know you're all going, oh, I can read. Yeah, we can all read. But can you read on the fly and put some emotion behind it and make someone believe what you're saying? Well, if you're in a relationship, you can already do that. It's very similar to that, but the whole point is make it feel real. But start off with speech, and then drama 1, drama 2, drama 3. Get whatever experience you possibly can, whether it's voice or... there's a commercial of me somewhere when I was 12 years old. Oh yeah, and I was playing an angry, depressed kid. They're talking over it, and I'm sitting there thinking, right? You have to act like you're thinking, and you're affected by it. And then they're like, okay, now look at the camera and break the pencil. Nobody does that, though. So I did what they asked me to do because I'm a professional. And so I look at the camera and I break the pencil. And the next couple months at junior high were a nightmare. You're the angry kid with the pencil. Yeah, I don't really break pencils. And I'm never that angry. But I got to be that guy. It's just... I think there are probably a lot more actors than we give credit for. I think all of us are probably actors to a point. The difference is how much time you spend trying to make it believable. How much time you spend to try and make it real. Like right now, did you see how quiet the room got just because the way I said that? That's what I'm talking about. You gotta make people buy it. And it's a skill. I found out it's a skill. I never thought it was a skill. And then especially when they hired, I shouldn't say that. They hired me. When they hired me at Funimation, which is before they're going to fire me. That's when I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is a skill set. I have a skill set that everyone doesn't have, and I felt magical for a day. And then it went away because there are many other people there that have the same skill set. But I never thought of acting as that sort of thing. But it turns out some people can do it, some people can't. And it's so much fun being the person that can. Yes?
Again, following that, what was your first foray into acting? Like, very first, like, a play or
You know, honestly, it was very early on in school, and it was because my mother used to read to us as children. So by the time I went to kindergarten, I could already read fluently. So anytime there was a play, you know, an in-classroom play, or okay, someone read to the class, that was my thing right there. We're going to call on Jerry because he can read. And I really, you know, I'm glad you said that, because I really should at some point thank my mother for that. I don't think I've done it yet, and I should. I really should. It made all the difference in the world. Well, I will tell my mother you all thank her. And she'll go, all my sons are talented. Because that's what she says. I've never been allowed to feel good in my family. Yeah, you did, well, she had 3 sons in all fairness. So you can't pick favorites. So she's always said those same things. I have 3 sons and they're all very talented. Great. That means so much. But really, aren't I more talented than you? All of my sons are talented. But Mom, I'm obviously a little more talented than Leah. All of my sons are talented. Why did Dad marry you? Back there.
Are you the middle child?
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest child. So if anyone should ever feel angry towards me, I don't know how you could, but and you want to fight, and if I look at you and laugh at you and say, but you're only one person, it's because I had 2 older brothers. I do not fear any single person. You laugh, I'm being serious. I don't. You know why? Because they taught me a very important lesson, and that is how to grab things and throw them and swing them, and to bite and to claw and to stab with a knife if you have to. That's what having 2 older brothers will teach you. And it's a very important lesson because it helps you get along in the world. Because once you grow up, the only thing on my mind was, how can I avoid confrontation at all costs? I know, I'll just be a smartass. And it works really well. I encourage all of you to give it a shot, because it's great. It is. Yes.
I know you sung the ending for one anime. I believe it was Yu Yu Hakusho. What was that like, and would you ever do it again?
It's nerve-wracking, is what it is. The hardest thing to do beyond acting. I can step in front of people and act. You know, I think I still can. I haven't been on stage in a while, but I enjoy that, and I love it. I can do it at the drop of a hat. Singing in front of anyone, especially a small group of people in a studio that know what they're talking about, is completely nerve-wracking. So unless you want to feel nervous and die early, then singing in front of people is difficult, especially if you enjoy singing and you take pride in singing. Man, doing it in front of professionals is rough, because you're going to have to do multiple takes, and you're always like, oh, I feel really self-conscious right now. But I'm going to be a professional, and I'm going to do this. But I love to sing. It's my favorite thing in the world, but doing it in front of people is kind of hard. How many of you have sang in front of people? Now I feel like this is Did you not think it was difficult? It was difficult, right? Okay. I was just making sure I'm not crazy.
I'm gonna ask him to do something
Back there.
from past Russia.
When you auditioned for Having This Money, did you realize
Just
the
whatever,
aspects of
just
the
give me a
character, his storage,
No, I'm saying you.
how he was going to be treated during the show?
I'm hoping you for a while.
I have a very clear recollection of the day I was chosen for Happiness Bunny. I was working with Zach. Here's why I got Happiness Bunny, is I was going through a divorce at the time.
Aww.
And so, occasionally when people ask me, when they open that can of worms, and they're like, so how are things going? Let me tell you about my... And so I get in there, I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? He's like, well, it's Happiness Bunny. The name is ironic. He's not really happy at all. He complains about things and his situation in life. And I was like, well, I see why I'm here. I was like, so what kind of voice? Like deeper Jerry, higher Jerry, whatever it is. No, just be yourself. All right. And then when it got to the lines about marriage that he has, when he's talking to Whitey, is that the name of the dog? It was just natural. Nope, marriage. That cesspool of a radio. Yeah, you all look forward to it now. Just wait till you find out what it really is. Yes.
Do you go into your roles cold or do you research them?
Most of them are cold. Occasionally, if a director wants me to mirror something the Japanese are doing, they'll give me the Japanese lines as a reference. And I'm really good at copying things. I've been a parrot my entire life. Well, it comes in handy. That's part of that skill set. Is I thought for the longest time that everyone was capable of doing that until I became a director for Funimation. And yeah, and you're in with people and you give them a couple chances on their own, but they don't know where the scene's going, in all fairness. That's my job, is to lead them. Well, you should say it like this because here's what's going to happen 5 minutes from now that you're not going to get to watch because we're on a time limit and we got to get done. I don't know, if you've watched the show, you know where it's going, you know what you're going to say, you know how you want it to be delivered, and I found out that not everyone can repeat what they've just heard. It's amazing. I know most of you are thinking, what, that sounds like the simplest thing ever. And if I said, now say that, most of you would go, that sounds like the simplest thing ever. But there are people, I imagine even within this crowd, that are incapable of doing that. They would go, this sounds like the ever? But that's not what I did. That's what I heard. And you're like, wow, that happens, I guess. Some people can't repeat what they've just heard. So it's another, I feel I gained all these skills that I never thought were skills. It turns out they are if you're in the right job. If you're in a normal job, it does you no good. They get mad at you. Like if you copy your boss or something, like you have a really good impression of them, you'll get fired. I don't recommend that. Yes?
What's the highest voice you do?
It's when I'm really high. It sounds like this. Oh, dang. You guys. No, how are you? How are you? I'm good. I'm really good. It's nice to see you all. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably yet to do the highest voice I can do. It depends. It all depends on the situation and the show and the character. I was the bat in Rosario versus Vampire, and it's not a high voice, and they kind of pitched me up a little bit, but that's a pretty high voice if you just want to hear me sound like it's a high voice. Why would you ask that question? Just out of curiosity. It's early. And I pretty much burned my throat out last night, I think. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm here with friends. It's okay. I will I don't know. When I was younger, I used to imitate my mother, like successfully, like to the principal of the school. Because that's the confidence I had. And I sounded just like her. I did. And then puberty. And then you have to go to school. That's about that. No more faking it. Yeah, this is Mrs. Jewell. I'm gonna tell you, Jerry's sick. Yes.
Can you share with us any fun experiences you had while doing it in your recording on set?
You know, this is going to sound general, but it's true. I try to make it a point to have fun no matter what I'm doing. I think life is too boring if you don't do that. Otherwise, you get sucked into this sort of everything is the same all day, every friggin' day. And I recommend that to all of you. Try to have fun whatever you're doing. It does, and if people don't understand it, that's their problem, really. Let them figure it out later. Just run into somewhere and go, "Are you open on Tuesday?" And let them figure it out. Because you had fun, and who cares about them? Yes. It's for an actor to pick a favorite would be like saying, well, there was this one time I enjoyed getting work over this other time that I got work. It's really, if you're doing it as general as it sounds, you love every part you get. You love every single one of them. Part of it is because you get to keep working, which is the name of the game. That's the whole goal, is to get the next role. So I've never been in the booth and not enjoyed it. Never. They're all good. The role you're working on is your favorite, and that's the one you're putting everything you got into. And then beyond that, the next one will be your favorite, and that's what you will put everything you've got into, because you want to keep working. Don't get me wrong, I know how anime works. I could have done Fruits Basket and then just quit and still gone to conventions forever. But I love it so much that you just keep going forward and on to the next thing. And what do I get to be today? It's the greatest thing in the world to go home and go like, how was your day at work? I was a dragon, and then I was a vampire, and then they snuck me in as an old man because they needed someone. And that's the greatest stuff ever. How many of you can say that? That's right, just me. That's why I'm here. Yes. First you, then you.
I hate to bring it back to murder, but
I love murder. Like we just had to change our cable around, so we got more channels because it's all digital now. And we found the what is it called? It's the ID. What does that stand for? Investigation Discovery channel. That's like the only channel we watch anymore because. And we'll sit there, it's terrible, we're jaded now. We sit there and watch and we're like, well, the boyfriend's obviously the murderer. Here you're going to take 30 minutes to come to the conclusion that I was telling you from the get-go. You didn't listen to me. Why didn't you listen? We could have saved 45 minutes on this program. Because as soon as I saw that guy, I knew he looked evil. I saw it on his face. He was guilty. And usually we're right. Most of the time, we're really good at it. We should be detectives because we watch that channel. I know some people spend years in law enforcement trying to get to that level, but 30 minutes, maybe. I can solve a murder.
my actual question was, what was your opinion on Claire Stanfield and Bacchanal?
He's genius. The man's a genius. He's obviously, he seems crazy. You think he's crazy until he starts telling you about his reality. And then you realize that whatever he thinks in his reality is what he makes happen. So, is he crazy or are we crazy? That's what I think about Claire Stanfield. I think he's there to show the rest of us how crazy we are. He's not crazy. Evidently, what he says works. He balanced on some dude's wrench. You know, some guy swung a wrench at him. He jumped up and balanced on it. If he can do that, who's the wrong one in that situation? The person holding the wrench is going to be the wrong person, not Claire. He's doing something you're like, he's balanced. He jumped on my wrench. I was swinging my wrench and we jumped on it. I don't even know how I'm holding this wrench. He's genius. He's a genius. And, well, he's a sociopath is what he is. And I like, again, because I watch murder all the time, I know what a sociopath is supposed to be. Sociopaths don't care about other people. It's their world, right? So as long as you can get into that mentality, it's fun. You should play there sometime. I don't recommend living there. It's kind of like Kansas. You should visit, but you don't want to live there. Both Kansas and sociology. Yes, you were next.
Has there ever been a character or a couple of lines in any of the shows you've done that's been really harsh on your voice?
Barry the Chopper was really harsh on me.
Oh.
And it's because I had to yell a lot. And if you're dedicated, if you're going for it, as I was, then you're going to lose your voice. That's just the way it goes. So, you know, you go home at the end of the session, you hope it's a couple days until your next session so you can recoup. But you're going to lose your voice. It happens. There is no proper way to scream like a crazy person. If I had done it the proper way, as you are taught in drama classes when they're teaching you to project to the back of the theater, we have theater people come in for auditions, and it's like, okay, maniacal scream, and they go, ah! That is not a maniacal scream. You at Funimation, and it's because of the people that work there. It's because of how far back it goes and how dedicated these people are. At Funimation, you're going to scream. You're going to have a real scream. It's not going to be a stage scream. It's not going to be I must protect my throat. This is my instrument, and I must take care of it. No, you better let go of your instrument because you're about to scream. And unless I hear blood gurgling through it, I'm not going to be satisfied. So you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to go for it. And most of the time, when you go for it like that, you're going to pull out your voice, and you just hope it gets better. You hope it repairs itself.
Did you read the webcomic?
It was a regular audition for me, just another audition, and it was everyone came in and pretty much read all the parts. They would say, "What accents can you do?" All of them. So, which one are you the worst at? My Russian is terrible. Okay, let us hear your Russian. And they're like, all right. But you have to remember, and it's a very subtle thing that I think some people step over sometimes when they're watching Natalia. The point was not to have authentic accents. The point was to have stereotypical accents. And I think that the Japanese, if any of you that have any idea what the Japanese are actually saying, would realize that's what they were doing as well. It was what are the stereotypes and how can we play on those? Because that way everyone is equally offensive. So the people at Funimation that were directing it grabbed onto that and they were like, okay, who does a good accent but not so good that we think it's real? And so that was it. I went in and I was like, okay, Russian. I don't really do Russian, but I remember the guy from Rocky. So I just put myself there and did it. And they're like, oh, that's good. That's close enough. All right. Now I'm Russian. Now I'm offending Russian people all spaced out kind of experience for me. I do love it. I mean, who wouldn't love it? Someone else pays for me to go somewhere out of town. Thank God. It is so hard to get out of the Metroplex. It's not just being an actor. I just think if you live in that region of the country, it's really hard to get out. And so anytime I can take a couple days and go somewhere I don't normally get to go, and on top of that, they put me in a really nice hotel, which I don't deserve, for anyone. And sometimes they even pay me. So I mean, there are no downsides to that whole part of it. I'm still a little bit in disbelief that this whole thing exists. I had no idea when I started. I'm used to conventions now, but when I started, I was blown away that anyone cared. I was like, oh, you like that 20 minutes I spent in the studio? Well, that's weird, but okay. You want me to sign what? Something that's not a bill? Okay. I'll do that because we live real life just the same as everyone else, except fortunately for me, there are people like you who will come to see a friggin' nobody sit here and talk to you about whatever. And I'm getting paid the whole time. So good for me. I hope it's good for you guys. Yes?
Aside from watching murder and running into places and
Oh,
asking
murder.
questions too, aside from that, what do you do for fun or in your everyday life?
You know, I had this discussion yesterday, as a matter of fact. The IRS, kids, has this formula for figuring out if you're a professional or not. And that formula is if you make above 50% of your income from doing whatever business that is, you are considered a professional. I have never been a professional voice actor. Never. I can act in a professional manner. I behave in a professional way, but I am not now, nor have I ever been, a professional voice actor. In my mind, I've always been a musician. It's just, you know, the voice acting thing came about, it was there, it was an opportunity, and performance is performance. Actors, musicians, I don't care if you're working at an amusement park. It really is, it's all the same. There are people in life who love to perform and will let nothing stop them from doing it, and there are people that don't feel comfortable performing, and they rely on the rest of us to entertain them. So I guess it's pretty even, but I've never considered myself an actor, never. But I love doing it, love it. Because how could you not? You get to pretend to be somebody else. I don't enjoy being me. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I want every night. When I can go into the booth and be handsome for like 4 hours, I will take it. I will take it every time. And be like, oh, that's what it's like. I guess you again.
Can you tell us a funny or interesting story that happened to you, either in the booth with other voice actors or at a convention with fans?
We are never in the booth at the same time. Never.
I know we talked about either in the booth or out with voice actors.
I'm so darn awesome in the booth that I have no funny stories because I'm amazing at what I do. And it sounds like I'm joking, but for the most part, it's true. I mean, of course, we do funny things in the booth. One of our games is to put words together because you're recording a show and you're just trying to think about saying it in a convincing way, and you don't really listen to how the words start to melt together. So we'll take words. One of our games is to take words and make them into Russian names. And it's usually because the speed of it. There was a line in the show we were recording not that long ago that the line was, "Aw, this is my best batch yet." And so to me, I hear that and I go, that sounds like a Russian name. My name is Vladimir, this is my best batch yet. And so that's a game we play, and we do it all the time. Where you can't not do it because you're sitting down watching a cartoon all day, listening to someone act, and you're like, we gotta break this up somehow because this is killing me. This is actual work, and that's hard. Who wants to do it? It's like lifting weights. They're so heavy. Who wants to do that? Back there.
Some would say that Napoleon wasn't a real anime. What would you say to that? What?
I would say they don't live in this reality. I've seen it. It's there. It's a real anime. I'm sure I have some check stubs to prove it. It happened. It was there. I was there. I know I was there, and you're not going to convince me it wasn't real. I saw it.
It's like when people call anime cartoons.
I don't get many done towards me, but when I'm recording with other actors, Chris Sabat is by far the best. He cracks me up. He's frustrating as hell to work with because he's having fun, and somewhere back in your mind, you know you're going to get done on time because it's Chris Sabat, but he will just mess with you for no reason. We had one not that long ago where he likes to take the commas out of sentences. And so you're going along very serious, very into the show, and you're thinking, all right, this line coming up, he's going to call it out just a little bit because that's how it should be read, and he's a professional, he knows what it's supposed to be. And the line will be something like, do something, comma, stupid, and then beep, 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 do something stupid. And you just immediately start laughing. And here's the thing, once he knows he's got you laughing, you're going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes laughing. Because that's only his first attempt. And then you go, okay, well, obviously there's going to be a comma in there, so do the line again, and this time maybe a little more called out. And you think that's what's going to happen. And then beep, 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 do something stupid! Chris, we can't yell into the microphone. So obviously, okay, give us the line again, but this time pull it back a little bit. Do something stupid. And at that point, you just throw your hands up and you're like, okay, I guess I'll wait until you're ready to do your job. And we'll go from there. All right, so get it all out of your system because we have work to do, and I can't do it when I'm laughing all the time. And you're screwing around and you're messing with me, and I know it, and thank you for it because it really breaks up the day. But at the same time, it really is frustrating because you're like, we've got 20 minutes to finish this episode, and we have not gone past this line because you're keeping us laughing, and I thank you for that. However, my bosses do not appreciate you keeping us laughing. We have to get this done, and he doesn't care. But then he'll do something amazing, and you have to go, okay, I'll let it go. Because you're Chris Sabat. Yes.
What's your favorite line as Russia?
I think isn't the stupid faces line everybody's favorite Russian line? Yeah.
But
Right. You know how it goes. Don't ask me to do it. I can't remember things. Right now, it's too much to ask. I'm only one person.
Heavens to the Betsy.
Oh, I liked that one too. Heavens to the Betsy. That was good.
Do you have any favorite con experiences?
Favorite con experiences? I think most of the voice actors would tell you the same thing. The joy of it for us is, of course, you guys, because in our normal everyday lives, this would not happen ever. Nobody cares. No one ever recognizes me. No one ever, and it's not a sad thing. It's a normal thing, as you know. Most of you probably are not recognized either. It's really not that different, but I also get to see friends that I have done work with that I haven't seen in years, or like I said, we all record alone, so Well, matter of fact, I'll use Eric Bell again because he's a good example. Eric Bell and I have been opposites, like playing opposite each other as hero, villain, who's taken it this time. For years now, we have been to one convention together. And it was, I think it was just last year or the year before, something like that. I mean, we've known each other for over a decade and we've been to one con together. There are people that I'm happy that I get to direct now because I actually get to meet everyone I've been working with for the past decade. Because I haven't met a lot of them. And they're like, oh, it's this person. You were opposite them in this. And it's like, oh, now I can put a face to the name. Because we all work separately. That's how good we are.
Aw.
I don't need people to act with. I'll make you think there are people there. And there aren't any people there. I can talk to someone, but I have imaginary friends. Yes.
You might have answered this with the IRS question, but in what period of time did you realize, hey, I can make a living doing this?
Well, and that's the thing. Had I not actually gotten the job at Funimation being a director, I'd never. You can't make a living doing anime voice acting. You can't. I don't know anyone that does. And there are people that have done a lot more than I have that aren't making a living at anime. That's one thing they do. It's the name of the game is not voice acting. The name of the game is acting. The name of the game is how do you keep working. It doesn't matter if it's radio spots or if it's actual on-camera stuff. To us, there's no difference. It's all the same. Where's the next paycheck? Because, working for yourself is hard. Everyone always, we get that a lot at conventions. How do you become a voice actor? Well, learn how to eat nothing. Learn how to live off of that for a while. And then learn how to never feel good about yourself because people are constantly trying to tear you down. There's always someone on the internet somewhere that does not want you to be happy for some reason. I don't know. I guess they're just miserable people. But there are, as fun as it is, there are many other aspects that most people, they don't want. It ruins the illusion for them. It ruins the illusion. They don't want to recognize the reality of it. They want to think it's something above normal. They want to think, oh, voice actor, well, they're probably rich and they have a big house and they probably have a nice car. None of those things are true. None of them. I'm trying to figure out how to keep my car alive at this point. And but you know what? I can act like I can do anything. So, when my car breaks down and I'm explaining to the officer why I'm in the middle of the highway, I will do it convincingly. And so I guess that's something. I don't know. Oh, the BBC Sherlock? Oh yeah. Absolutely. I've always liked Sherlock Holmes. I mean, and Jimmy Kudo, for those that know, is also a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes. So you have to be somewhat familiar just to get all the references. Yes. Oh, actually it was a really obscure one. It's when they go together to the store. I think that's the scenario, and they're picking out things, and it was Laura Bailey that she was directing me at that point, which is. I know that most of you won't have the opportunity to be directed by Laura Bailey, but if you ever get that chance, it's totally worth it. Because it's Laura Bailey, and she's amazing. And we're in the store, and she goes, okay, and then I don't understand this line. I'm not sure what this one is coming up. And it's when they're looking around for what to buy, and he goes, watermelon. Because all it was, when you're in the booth, all you see is that word on the script. And then you watch the animation, she's like, I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. So do whatever you want. And I just go, watermelon. And she's like, actually that works. That's funny. And no, she was amazing to work with. Because she's another one of those, she is a kindred spirit. So you know, she would make these weird requests. She's like, can you like sound like you went out of breath, like halfway through the line, and like emotionally you're having a hard time getting to that last word, and you're not sure why she's doing it, but you're like, oh, this is a fun game. Let's see. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's fun. So much fun.
How did you come up with and do the voice of Jin from Yu Yu Hakusho?
One or two more. Justin Cook directed that show. Justin Cook and I are friends from way back. We went to high school together. We were in choir together. That's where we met, was high school choir. But when he was doing that show, excuse me, he was trying to figure out a way during the Dark Tournament to get the feeling like there were these different realms and people were coming in from all over this, you know, created universe that Yu Yu Hakusho happens in. Well, how do you translate that, though, to a show? The only way we know, as human beings, to get the feeling of people being from different places is to use accents. Because the fact of the matter is, we're all from the same place when you really break it down. We all come from this one mud ball spinning in the cosmos. There is nowhere else to come from, as far as we know, yet. So the only way he could think of to do that was accents. So he had a guy that did an Australian accent, he had me do the Irish accent, and he had a couple others he threw in here and there, just to try and get that feel of these people are from different places.
But that was a really fast Irish accent.
Well, the Irish thing is, I've been doing that for years, for a long time. I do surprise you guys, I have some Irish background. I'm sure you never would have guessed, just because I look like a huge leprechaun. But I've been doing that for a long time. I have lots of Irish drinking songs on call at any given time. So I've got that going for me. And it was fast, but also, I don't know, do any of you know who Danny Kaye is? If you don't know who he is, look him up, because you're missing out on a great performer if you don't know who Danny Kaye is. But Danny Kaye, one of his things, he was known for tongue twisters, the ability to speak quickly. His wife, Sylvia Fine, for those of you that are interested, he used to write all of his songs for him, and that was kind of his shtick, is how good his diction was and how quickly he could deliver something. He has been one of my idols, if I have an idol. I don't really have idols, but if I did, he would be one. And it's just something that comes naturally to me. It was they picked me for the part, and they're like, hey, can you do this and this? And I'm like, you just got the right guy. You lucked out. Okay, one or two more. I guess I should probably not blab as much. Sir?
Yes, I was just wondering, what are some of the more minor character roles that you've done that maybe stood out to you?
Bevins had me do a guy, and I forget what show it was in, but it's still one of my favorites. I want to say his name is like Sock Man or something like that, and it's because unfortunately I have a reputation, and his only line, you never see him, he's off screen, I don't even think it was in the script originally, is there's a drink at the end of the stage, somebody's doing something up on stage, and you see this hand go up and grab this drink and pull it down. And so Bevins calls me in, and he's like, this has got to be you. This has got to be you. And I was like, what? He goes, just read it. You'll know how to read it. You'll know. And so the line is, hey, that's my drink. And that's one of my favorite, unimportant bit lines. So I was like, how unfortunate that I have that reputation that it calls me specifically to do that. However, it was really funny. I enjoyed that. Oh my, now I'm going to feel bad because this has to be the last one, I think. You've already had a number of questions. Okay, I haven't gone back there.
How do you feel about the two Peter Pan and
Fine. I'm all right with it. I get it. There are kids that come to us that will say, I've learned so much about history from watching Italian. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You have learned something you can look up to learn about history, but you haven't learned about the actual history. Do not let Italia be your historical guide.
It's your
Because
reference.
It will lead
Yeah.
you in the right direction, but it is in no way accurate in and of itself. So, which even me, I didn't know for however long it's been since we put it out. I didn't know where the sunflower came from or the water pipe. I had no idea what that was about, and I'm not going to tell you because I had to find it on my own. But there are reasons why those things are in the anime, and they are historically based. And when you read them, you'll go, oh, that makes perfect sense. But when you see the anime, you're just like, why is he holding a sunflower? What's the deal with the water pipe thing? I don't get that. What's the whole deal with all the Russians are, I've heard Russians before, they're not that crazy. But the whole thing is completely supposed to be a stereotype. That's the name of the game with Italia, is this is as stereotypical as you get. And I have to give credit to the Japanese for having the courage to make fun of not only everyone else, but they made fun of themselves. And that, I don't even know if Americans are capable of that. But the Japanese did it, and they did it well, and they did it with humility, and gotta give them credit. So, yes, do not trust Italia. Don't go into your history class thinking that Italia is going to get you by. It is not. Please do. I promise it is not a bad idea. Look up the history. The things that you pick up from Italia, look them up. Not from Wikipedia either. From some reliable source. Hey, you guys, do you know what a library is?
Yes.
We used to have those when I was a kid. It was crazy. You can go to them and they have these things that have paper with words on them, and knowledge is written on those pages, and then you can retain that knowledge, and then you'll know things. And it's beautiful. People will think you're smart. Even if you're not, they'll think you're smart. I think, is that it? What time is it? Are we done? It's 12:01, we have to stop, I'm sorry. But thank you all for coming.